Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Today we will talk about the 12 principles in the Agile Manifesto. What would be the benefits of using these principles, Mr. Izgi?
A main benefit will be having a product of high quality. This will be related to customer satisfaction. It will be much more likely that the project is successful. More return of investment will be achieved. The team morale will be affected in a positive manner too.
Can you explain in details these 12 principles one by one after I tell each principle statement? Let's start with the first one. The first principle is our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software.
Before explaining this principle, I want to explain something else related to it. The Agile Manifesto was written by software developers, but the general consensus today is that it can be applied partially or totally at projects in industrial areas other than the software development. Therefore, some experts today think that the first principle should be updated by replacing the word software with the word product or increment. So the principle would read, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable increment. What does this principle say? To guarantee customer satisfaction, incremental delivery is used starting at an early stage of the project. The project team continuously receives feedback from the customer. The small increments reduce the project risk. The term minimum viable product, MVP, is related to this concept.
The second principle is welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage.
In the Agile approach, the customer does not give acceptance only once at the end of the project, but the customer gives acceptance for the increments continuously. Increment means small, releasable product. So, if the requirements change late in the development, it is unlikely that the change is huge and cannot be managed. Lots of increments have been accepted anyway, so the project team welcomes the change easily. In rare cases where the proposed change is big, the customer would be completely aware of its consequences anyway. Therefore, tension is not expected between the customer and the project team because of this requested change.
The third principle is deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference to the shorter timescales.
Again, before explaining this principle, I want to explain something else related to it. The Agile Manifesto was written in 2001, a long time ago. At that time, a couple of weeks to a couple of months is a reasonable criterion. Today, the solid upper limit is 1 month. Many companies use a time interval of 1 week or even less. What I myself saw most until today is 2 weeks. Having said that, let's come to the point of explaining this principle. The idea is the smaller the increment, less is the risk, and the higher is the return of investment. The stakeholders should think as follows. What is the smallest time interval to generate each increment in our project?
The fourth principle is business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project.
Yes, actually, in the waterfall model, it's also recommended that business people and developers interact as much as possible. The word developer is not limited to a role of software developer, but can be a developer in any industrial area. Call them project team members, if you will. In the waterfall model, since incremental delivery is not the strategy, the business people and the developers and the stakeholders can likely be reluctant to interact daily. Instead, they would interact at the milestones or status meetings only. So, the agile way of work is suitable and encourages daily interaction, which will reduce the risk of the project and also reduce the psychological pressure felt by the project team, customer, and other stakeholders.
The fifth principle is build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done.
As I said before, the agile approach affects the morale of the project team anyway. This is one of the results of incremental delivery. The team is also included in the decision-making process. Frequent interactions with the business people make many things transparent in this type of environment. So, when the needed environment and support are present, one trusts the team members more easily. Micromanagement will disrupt the work. Of course, here the assumption is that the right people with the right skills to the right roles are assigned.
The sixth principle is the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation.
Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, many companies find it difficult to co-locate the staff members. So, video conferencing tools are used to have face-to-face conversation. With face-to-face conversation, collaboration becomes more efficient. The famous psychologist Albert Mehrabian has done research about this subject, and his results support the idea given in the sixth principle.
The seventh principle is working software is the primary measure of progress.
As I said before, the Agile Manifesto was written by software developers, but the general consensus today is that it can be applied partially or totally at projects in industrial areas other than the software development. So, to generalize, let's rephrase this principle as working increment is the primary measure of progress. Since the increments are small pieces of the final product or service, when we use them to measure progress, we measure it in sufficient detail, not high level. This way of measuring performance emphasizes customer satisfaction. In addition, it encourages the team members to finish the high priority items as soon as possible, provided they won't take a long time by their nature.
The eighth principle is agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely.
Sustainable and constant pace improves the performance of the project team and other stakeholders. This affects their morale in a positive manner. It also prevents the project team members from becoming burnt out. In addition, One makes more realistic forecasts related to the project. I emphasize this fact too.
The ninth principle is continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility.
The incremental delivery makes these possible. Incremental delivery means continuous monitoring and controlling activities. Technical excellence and good design will be possible by delivering the small increments continuously.
The 10th principle is simplicity, means the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential.
One uses the term gold plating. It means performing additional unwanted work. The simpler the system, the less will be the complexity, also the amount of risk. Simpler systems are easier to maintain. They are easier to modify if necessary. Distractions and unnecessary tasks slow the progress too.
The 11th principle is the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams.
The term self-managing is considered to be a better choice nowadays. So the updated principle would read, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-managing teams. As I said before, micromanagement will disrupt the work. When the needed environment and support is present, one trusts the project team members easily. Do not make bureaucracy slow down the project. Keep the team autonomous and capable of acting fast when needed.
The 12th principle is at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly.
These are monitoring and controlling activities. Retrospectives conducted at regular intervals are used to reflect how to become more effective. We see a good example related to Kaizen, which is continuous improvement, as many of us already might know about.
Thank you, Mr. Izgi. We have reached the end of this video. Please subscribe to our channel and like our videos. You can support us from our Patreon page. Feel free to attend our Udemy course by clicking the link shown in the description section. Hope to see you in our next video.
We'll be glad if you write your comments below our videos. Also, feel free to ask any questions you might have. Contact us by using our email addresses if you are interested in our courses. Goodbye.
Bye bye.